Hello and welcome to our virtual yoga class. My name is Vanessa. I'm here to support you for the rest of the hour. We'll begin class in a seated position. So go ahead and make adjustments here in your seat. Shift into a cross-legged position. You'll notice just by activating your core, gently opening and lifting the chest, you naturally lengthen the spine. So we're looking for that long spine. And what indicates that is that active core, open chest. Notice if there's any stored tension in the shoulders or subconscious ways of holding up your shoulders and then drop them down. Hands can rest softly on your knees. And then check in with your breath. No judgment of your breath. Just notice where your breath is right now. You can begin to either close your eyes or find a point across of you. Focus on that point. Simultaneously noticing your breath arriving to the class, arriving to your body, arriving to your breath. We're cultivating that presence, awareness, that spaciousness. We're returning to this space throughout the class. Our breath is where we focus, and our breath supports us throughout all the poses, whether we're working on strength, flexibility, or endurance. And it takes practice to arrive to this moment. It takes practice to access that spaciousness, that presence. Sometimes it's more accessible and other times it's a little less accessible. So always give a chance, give the fluidity of your yoga practice, give that a chance. And then we'll sort of take an intentional breath here where we inhale, belly expands, rib cage expands, and then exhale, sigh it out. Building the bridges of our physical, mental, emotional bodies. We inhale here, exhale, sigh out. Our spine is long, shoulders relaxed, eyes closed or eyes open, focusing on a point. Deep belly breath, deep exhale. Another intentional breath here or two. And then we'll start to release our chin towards our chest. You're just allowing your head to hang here. You're activating a gentle stretch in the back of the neck and upper back by allowing your head to heavily drop. Spine remains long, shoulders relaxed. Lift your chin, your head comes back to neutral. Open up the front of the neck around the throat, lifting your chin up towards the ceiling, dropping your head back. And then release. Take your chin to look over your left shoulder, hold. And now chin towards opposite shoulder. Come back to center. Take your shoulders up towards your ears, draw them back. Now, as I'm drawing them back, I'm very purposely bringing my shoulder blades closer together. So invite a purposeful intention as you're dropping your shoulders back, inching your shoulder blades just closer together. And about one more round, shoulders up towards your ears, draw them down and release. We'll shift to stretch throughout the spine. We're gonna take our left hand to grab our right knee and then twist towards the right. Take your chin towards that right shoulder. Hold, using your grip to intensify the twist. And release, opposite side. Release, come back, center, inhale, lift your arms up overhead, palms up towards the ceiling, gentle stretch here, opening the palms, lengthening throughout the elbows, opening around the neck and shoulders. And then the side body stretch here, stretch towards the left, hold. You're grounding your sit bones on the floor. And then back to center, opposite side. Side body stretch, grounding your sit bones. Those are the bones near your glutes on the floor. Chin is neutral. Come back to center. Release your hands right behind your head. Twist towards the left and towards the right. Now either moving swiftly between sides or holding, breathing into one side a little longer. And then once you've done a few rounds here, you can start to release your hands. So we're focused on the upper body thus far. Let's go ahead and focus on our lower body, especially our hamstrings in the beginning of class. You always want to focus on the hamstrings at some point. So we're going to stretch our left leg out, press our right foot against our left thigh. We're going to focus on that left side. So for now, let's flex our left foot, lengthen our spine by activating your core, lifting our chest and hold. Breathe. Really critical that you flex that left foot. I'm going to activate a stretch into the calf muscle here as well. And then once you've taken a breath, start to lead with your chest. Keep a nice long spine and fold. Hands can reach anywhere. Thighs, shins, or toes. Hold here. Now we're going to remain here quite a couple of breaths here. So allow yourself to deepen. Breathe into your flexibility. Notice where there's an edge where you just naturally stop. Breathe into that edge. And then when it's the right time, see if you can fold just a little bit more. And when I say folding a little bit more, it can be very, very subtle. Use your breath to assist you. Inhale. Exhale, 2 more deep belly breaths here. Intentional breath. And release. Ground your right foot onto the floor. Lift your left arm. So I'm lengthening my spine, flexing my left foot, hooking my elbow onto my right knee, twisting towards the right, keeping my spine long, shifting my chin towards that right shoulder. Inhale. Exhale. Release. And then opposite side, now lengthen that right leg. Press your left foot against that right thigh. Flex your right foot, lengthen your spine. Take a moment here to breathe, making sure you're flexing that right foot, activating a stretch in the calf muscle. And then fold, hands reaching anywhere, thighs, shins, or toes. Noticing your edge, folding a little bit more, inviting intentional deep breathing to support you here in your flexibility. Deep belly breath. Hold the pose. And then exhale, release the pose. Bend that left knee, left foot onto the floor. Take your right arm out, lengthen your spine, flex that right foot, and then twist towards the left, taking your shoulder towards your left, your chin towards your left shoulder. As a reminder, chest is open, spine long. And then release, bring both soles of the feet together, fold. Dropping your chest towards the floor, belly towards the floor. Noticing your boundary, breathing into your boundary here. Notice a breath that begins at the belly. Inhale. And exhale. Release the pose. We're going to go ahead and shift into a forward fold. Please make sure your neck, your head are soft in this forward fold. Press that left hand onto the floor. Lift your right arm up towards the ceiling. There's a generous bend to your left knee. Apply some pressure on that right heel for a deeper stretch in the hip and hamstrings. And then release, opposite side. Right hand on the floor. Lift your left arm up towards the ceiling. Generous bend to that right knee for support. Don't forget to breathe. Release your hand. Soften the neck and head. Slowly roll up, arms dangle. So this is a good practice of physically letting go and learning to slow down. As we slow our physical movements, it does support us in slowing down our thoughts, that mental stimulation. Lengthen the spine. As a reminder, throughout the class, we're building a bridge and awareness of how the physical, mental, emotional bodies are all connected. So yes, outwardly, we're working on our physical health, but we're working on our mental and emotional health as well. Either choice for your mountain pose, hands framing your hips or hands in front of your heart center. We're welcoming our breath. By welcoming our breath, we're welcoming ourselves. This is an act of self-care and self-compassion. We inhale and exhale for the day we've had. We inhale and exhale for this moment. We inhale and exhale for the rest of our day. Inhaling and exhaling. Release your hands. Inhale, lift your arms up overhead, extended mountain pose. So that's where both palms are facing each other. Chest is open. Lift your chin. Chest is open. Arms radiate out. You're grounded and strong in this extended mountain pose. Inhale here. Exhale. Release your hands. Now interlace your fingers behind you. Draw your shoulders closer, or your shoulder blades closer together. Lift your gaze, your chin. And invite a bend to your knees, fold all the way down, forward fold, elbows extend behind you. Inhale here, exhale, release. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. Second round out of 3. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, release. Third round, inhale halfway up. Exhale, release, softening neck and head. Remain here, take a breath. And now slowly roll up, physically letting go. Noticing that as we physically slow down, we also slow down that mental stimulation. Mountain pose, either hands framing your hips or hands in front of your heart center. Inhale. And exhale. Another breath. We're cultivating that spaciousness, that silence throughout the class. All right, now let's shift into a warrior 2. So your hips are gonna naturally open here. You're gonna take your left foot forward, take your right leg back, right foot's in a diagonal, 90-degree bend to that knee. So for that warrior 2, you want both arms to be parallel to the floor. Take your gaze over that left hand, shoulders are soft and relaxed, chin is neutral. Now keep your gaze steady. This is a pose of strength and stability. Activate your glutes, your quads, open your chest. You can be active in this pose. Imagine a line of energy from one fingertip to the other fingertip, to the opposite fingertip. Hold. And now release that right hand to rest on your thigh. Lift your left arm up. Hold. Inhale. Exhale. Keep a bend to that left knee. Back to center. Warrior 2. Inhale. Exhale. Drop that elbow onto your thigh. Lift your right arm up. Either remaining here or lengthening that left leg, dropping your left hand to your shin or floor. Lift that right arm up, shoulder back. Exhale, release both hands, frame that left foot, soften neck and head. Breathe into that left hamstring. left hip. And now inch both hands forward, ground through that left foot, lift your right leg as high as you can. And then right foot meets that left foot. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, slowly lift up. Physically letting go, arms dangle, head comes up last. Move very slowly. Ground through your heels, ground through your feet. Notice that line of energy from the base of your spine, lengthening all the way to the crown of your head. Either expression of your mountain pose. Welcoming your breath, welcoming your experience, arriving to this moment, letting go of to-do lists. Noticing that you're cultivating a practice. Start to release your mountain pose. We'll shift into warrior two, opposite side. This time, right foot forward. Left leg steps back, left foot in a diagonal. Bend that right knee. Bring your arms out to a T. Take your gaze over that right hand. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, start to release that left hand right behind your thigh. Lift your right arm up. Side body stretch here. You're strengthening throughout the lower back as well. And then back to center. Keep your gaze steady. Glutes and quads active. Arms parallel to the floor. Full body breath. And then release that right elbow right on top of that thigh. Lift your left arm up, reaching that left arm. Either remaining here or lengthening that right leg, dropping your hand to your shin or all the way down to the floor. You can gaze down towards the floor, or if you want to take your gaze up towards the ceiling, that is an option as well. Exhale, release down, spin those or take those hands down towards the floor. Focus on that right hip, right hamstring, soften neck and head. Start to inch your hands forward. Make sure those hands are beneath your shoulders as you press that right foot. Lift your left leg as high as you can. Inhale. Exhale. Release that left foot. Hold here in your forward fold, making sure knees are bent, neck and head are soft. Hands to shins. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, release, roll up slowly to standing. Grounding through your feet, arms dangle. Hands either meet in front of your heart center or hands frame your hips, either expression of mountain pose. Inhale and exhale. Release your hands. You're going to come into a two-legged balance. Lift your arms up overhead, interlace your fingers. Lift your heels halfway or all the way up. Now keep your gaze steady. Now that steady gaze will help with balance. And also that steady gaze is an indicator of a steady mind. Now we're mentally preparing ourselves for a tree pose as well. Notice the effects of this two-legged balance, and then release your hands, release your feet, pedal your feet back and forth. Shift into a tree pose, pressing that right foot against your ankle. Taking a moment here to ground through that left foot, activating your core. You can remain here, lift a little higher, or to use your hands to assist you to bring your foot to press against your thigh. Hands in front of your heart center. Actually, if I had to pick a yoga pose for last year, for 2020, and for this year, 2021, I would go ahead and pick a tree pose. It's gentle on the body, yet challenging. And it requires us to balance, to find that inner stillness in the chaos. And notice here, even though your body is still maintaining this balance, there's a lot of movements and shifts. There's a paradox of stillness and movement. Hold. You can find any expression here with your hands. There's so many expressions. As always, with any balance pose, feel free to step out of it and then re-engage with it. Steady breath. Steady gaze. And release. That was good timing on my part. I was about to fall out of it. All right, so pedal your feet back and forth. Let's ground those two balance poses with a chair pose. Let's bend our knees, shoot our arms out. We're lifting our tailbone. We're grounding through our heels. Glutes and quads are active. Core as well. Chest is open. Arms radiate out. Bend your knees forward further. Fold all the way down. Soften neck and head. Inhale halfway up. Exhale. Release. Let's roll up slowly as we've been practicing throughout the class. Moving physically slow. Slowing down that mental stimulation. And back to our mountain pose. Either expression. Let's take one generous breath. Belly expands. I recommend exhaling, sighing out. We'll go through this same little mini balance sequence, two-legged balance. Lift your arms up overhead, palms up towards the ceiling, lift your heels halfway or all the way up. Practicing that steady gaze here and practicing that steady breath. Release your hands, release your feet, pedal your feet back and forth, and then prepare for your tree pose. This time taking your left foot to rest against your ankle. Take a moment here to ground through that right foot. Activate core, glutes. Remaining here, or using your hands to lift that leg higher. Hip is opened. Find that expression with your hands. Relaxed breath. Steady gaze. Another breath here or two. And release your hands, release your feet. Paddle your feet back and forth. And now lift your arms up. Tree pose. Let's contrast that balance with a very grounding, stabilizing pose. One that requires strength and endurance. Use your breath to assist you. This is also a good pose for a steady gaze. Helps concentrate your energy here. And then fold down for a fold. Inhale halfway up. Exhale, release the back plank pose. Hold that plank pose, hands are beneath your shoulders, core is lifted. Keep your elbows close to your torso as you release down towards the floor. Upward facing dog. Glutes are engaged here to support you. Find that lift in the chest, tops of the feet are on the floor. And then downward facing dog. Hold that down dog. We're gonna take a couple of breaths in this down dog. Making sure your hips are lifted, heels as well. You're grounding through your palms. Breathe into the backs of your legs. Deep belly breath, or recommend inhaling, exhaling, sighing out. And then we'll move into a little mini flow, 3 rounds. Shift into your plank pose, release down towards the floor. Inhale up, upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog. After a breath here, second round, plank pose. Activating that core strength, releasing down towards the floor. Finding length throughout the spine, opening the chest, the abdomen, upward facing dog, releasing compression in the lower back. Exhale, downward facing dog, welcoming this inversion. Lifting your hips, grounding through your feet, grounding through your palms. Next round, plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up into an upward facing dog. Exhale, down dog. One more round. Take a breath though in this downward facing dog. When you're ready, plank pose. Release down towards the floor. Inhale up. Upward facing dog. Shift into a downward facing dog. Lift your right leg, bend your knees, stack your hips, and now right knee towards that right elbow, hover. Lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips, and then release that foot down towards the floor. Invite a generous breath. After that breath, lift your left leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. Now knee towards that left elbow, hover. Lift your leg, bend your knees, stack your hips. And then release your foot back down towards the floor. Drop your knees onto the mat. And then find your child's pose, knees close together or knees towards the edges of your mat. So we are relaxed here in our child's pose, but remain active and aware. Invite some intentional breaths, perhaps lengthening the length of your inhale, lengthening the length of your exhale, just a little bit more than you're accustomed to. Lengthening your inhale and exhale. Another deep belly breath here. And then start to release that child's pose. We're going to shift into a tabletop. Very simple way to protect our spine, our cat and cow poses. It releases compression in the lower back, any tension around the upper back and neck. Inhale, open your chest, lift your tailbone. So it's critical that you lift your tailbone here. And critical that you tuck that tailbone in and then around your spine, tuck your chin towards your chest. Grounding through your palms, tops of the feet on the floor. Now you can move in a flow with your breath, inhaling cow, exhaling cat, or you can remain here in either pose, an extra breath or two, exploring and opening further. Whatever it is, just move at your own pace. Listen to your body's intelligence. Wherever you're at, one more round of each. And then further working on your neck and shoulders. Come back to neutral position. Look over your right shoulder. You're activating a stretch in the neck. Drop your head all the way down, up, and then look over your left shoulder. One more time on each side. And then release your child's pose. We're gonna go ahead and lengthen both legs. So now we're towards the end of class. We've opened up throughout our body, our legs. Let's see what a stretch is with both legs. We're gonna lengthen our spine just as we did in the beginning. Flex our feet, hold. And now fold. Hands reaching to thighs, shins, or toes. Deep belly breath. Notice a breath that begins at the belly. And release. Take your palms up towards the ceiling. Start to release, chin towards chest. Hover here. Feet can float off the floor. Core workout. Glutes are engaged. Core as well. You're using a lot of upper back strength as well. Hold. And then release. Take a breath. I recommend exhaling, sighing out. And now lift your arms up overhead. Full body stretch here. You can point your toes, interlace your fingers. Lift your abdomen up towards the ceiling. Find length throughout the spine. Excuse me. And then release that full body stretch. We'll shift into a twist. Go ahead and bend your knees. Both feet float off the floor. Bring your arms out to a T. Drop your knees towards the right. Then drop your head towards the left. It's critical that your head and your knees face opposite directions. Scan your body and see how can you soften just 10% further. That's actually a practice to soften and relax further. Pay attention to the neck, down to the spine, to the hips. You can imagine your knees falling further towards the floor. Take an intentional breath here. And we'll start to bring your knees back to center. Drop your knees towards the left. And then drop your head towards the right. Once more, scanning your body, neck down, the length of your back to hips, knees. Seeing where can you soften just 10% further. So though your body is relaxed, you can still place attention to your breath. Noticing that through our breath, we build those bridges of our physical, mental, emotional bodies, which is critical to a holistic yoga class. Another breath here or two. Knees come back to center, drop both feet on the floor. Rest that right ankle right on top of that left thigh. Weave your right hand between your legs, interlace your fingers behind that left thigh. You're breathing into that right hip. Notice your edge. And then after a breath here or two, release. Opposite side, left ankle or shin, rest on top of that right thigh. Weave your left hand between your legs. Interlace your fingers behind that right thigh. And then remaining here, bringing your thigh closer towards your belly or chest for a deeper stretch around that left hip. Inhale here. Another breath here or two. And then release. Both soles of the feet start to touch. Drop your knees. Rest your hands anywhere from framing your hips, palms up towards the ceiling, or resting on your belly or chest. That's helpful for regulating your breath. Or lifting your arms up overhead, backs of the hands on the floor. There'll be more of an arch to your spine if you do so. Soften your body, deep belly breaths. Remind yourself of your full deep belly breath. This is a breath you can go back to throughout your week, your day. It's a breath that we have to reacquaint ourselves with throughout the day. We don't tend to take deep, long breaths. So we have to practice what that experience is like. And it's actually very difficult to maintain this deep, long breaths over a long period of time. So just take a couple, see how it feels, see what comes up, see what is accessible about your deep breath, see if it's not accessible. You can have both experiences. And after you've taken a couple of rounds of deep breath, you can allow your breath to go back to its regular rhythm. Do concentrate on softening neck down the back to your hips. This is a soft and restorative pose, pose of stillness. And then after a breath here, we'll start to transition to our final resting pose. There are so many different yoga classes offered. This last resting pose is very universal. It's a pose that allows us to integrate our practice physically, mentally, emotionally. It also supports continuing the cultivation of that stillness, presence, and spaciousness. And here we learn the wisdom of slowing down and of doing nothing. So as you're here, make any adjustments to feel fully comfortable in this last resting pose. You can even put a blanket on top of you. Soften your forehead and jaw, neck and shoulders, down the length of your spine. Soften your arms from your shoulders, down to your wrists, palms, and fingertips. And soften down the hips, behind the knees, down to your ankles and toes. Observe any thoughts and sensations, just notice. You can take intentional, deep, long breaths or allow your breath to go back to its regular rhythm. Either choice works. And then start to shift your attention back to your breath, inviting a generous and leisurely inhale and exhale. Restoring some movement to your fingertips and your toes. You can invite a full body stretch, lifting your arms up overhead. Or you can turn your body to the side, allowing yourself to remain relaxed. Once again, return to that generous breath, that leisurely breath, where there is no sense of time, no hurry. And after you've taken another generous breath, we'll start to shift into our seated position. Go ahead and shift into whichever seat is supportive of you right now. Move so with intention and presence. Notice that spaciousness, that presence you've been cultivating throughout the class, accessible here right now. And then we'll take a moment to reflect that as we welcome our breath, we're welcoming our experience, and as we self-care, we're much more able to serve others. So on that note, we'll conclude our class with an intentional breath. Let's take our hands in front of our heart center. Intentional inhale here, and exhale. And in the tradition of yoga, the highest in me sees the highest in you. May you walk with each other in gratitude.